Hello, it's Mystery Ends again. Today I thought I would go into Blender and kind of show a little bit behind how I rendered the Backrooms video that I made. You might have seen it. Actually, one of my most popular videos so far, so I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, so let's get into it. Today I'm just going to show you the general purpose of how to do everything. Got this cool keyboard set up. Pretty much tells you guys what I'm pressing. Sadly, I couldn't input the mouse into it, so you will not see what I'm using. But practically the movement tools in Blender are literally just like the middle mouse button, then, you know, click and drag type things, which is pretty normal. Yeah, well, it's kind of odd because you would think that the backspace button would delete objects normally, but Blender, you use X, so that's fun. So I'm just gonna go Shift A to add a plane. I'm gonna click S to scale it out, get nice in depth. Then I'm gonna go, well, I'm gonna add a cube. You know, I like cubes. Cubes look nice. I'm gonna go to the move tool, and I'm gonna go on the x-axis, and I'm just gonna pull it up to general top of that plane model. Yeah, you know, let's jump into like render mode and add some other things. So I'm just gonna do like some general lighting and that kind of rendering tips. So we're gonna go over here to light and down to area. That's gonna give us a nice little light. I'm in rendering mode, which is that one right at the end, that little ball. So yeah, it's pretty useful. I might just drag that out. You might see it might be really dark for you. It's really dark for me, and I know why. So you want to go down to this little light bulb icon, and you see this like power, and it's in watts because it's trying to be realistic. So I'm going to set that to like 200. And now you can see it's going to start rendering a bit. This is just a preview render, so now I might move to the side. And I might turn it down actually, maybe to like 150 or 170. Yeah, 150 looks about right. Now we're going to try add some photos, some textures. It's pretty fun. I've had a lot of fun with doing this. So I'm going to go back to solid mode. You can also just click Z to bring here. I'm going to go back to solid mode. I'm going to go down to this little red ball down here, and I'm going to click new to add a material. Now I'm going to scroll down to base color, click the yellow dot, and go to image texture. Now from there, you're going to open up your window where I can pull up my drive and all my cool little photos. Okay, wait. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I've found my file now. I'm just pulling in some textures that I had previous. So I'm gonna pull up like my wall texture. I'm gonna pull up a wall texture. You can just search up anything. I just search up like I just searched up like wall texture, literally. Just any word with the word texture on the end. It's literally anything. Now you're gonna see, it does say the texture's added, but you can't see it. So you're gonna go up to this little window again, and you're gonna click viewport shading. Again, you can click Z to do that as well, but it's pretty cool. Now you're gonna see your image pops up. In my case, this is really large, and this is not what I want, and it's just looking quite ugly. So I'm gonna go over to the shadings tab, and you're going to see a lot of stuff, and it's going to be very confusing, but you don't need to focus on any of this. and you want to go to add and search up texture coordinate. I know how to spell correctly. There we go. Just drag and drop it in there. We're going to add another one, and it's going to be literally just a mapping node. So it's going to be really easy. We're going to pull that in between that. Now we're going to look here, and on the texture coordinate in the mapping node, we're going to drag this UV line. You just click and drag, and you connect it to the vector of the mapping node. And then from there, this is the main texture over here. So you're just going to drag the vector from the mapping node over to the vector of the texture. And look, nothing happened. Except something has happened, because now if we go down to scale, we can now adjust the height of the image texture that we're using. So for this one, I'm fairly certain I had to rotate this in some way, but I can't remember that, so I'm just gonna go -30 maybe. Don't edit the z-axis on scale because it literally does nothing. I know, it's really sad and depressing. You know what? I'm gonna go back to 120 maybe. I think that looks about right. Now we're gonna go over to our layout again, and look, we got a cool texture, and it's sized up to the correct ratio. So I'm gonna go over here, and now we're gonna add a texture to the plane that we're utilizing. So again, to the red circle, add a material, yellow dot, image texture, open up one. I'm gonna go like straight to my file. I'm pretty sure this is the one. Boom, grass texture. I literally just found an image off the internet and pasted it in here. Now we're gonna go through the same tedious process of going back into the shading tab. I'm gonna add texture coordinate, and yet I still can't spell. There we go. Gonna add the mapping node, and this will be really easy. We're gonna connect the UV again. Literally no differences this time. Connect it up again, and well, like, I'm gonna go -40 on this, just because I feel like this would look correct. So now you can see it's kind of added a bit of a grass texture. Go back to layout. Now you can see we've got our grass, we've got our block. I mean, you can literally do anything. Also, you can change this image at any time. Just click on the little Windows icon. I can add a carpet texture. It's all gonna keep those same shading properties. So that same property that we did in the shading tab will stay the same for any image that you replace it with. So this is the carpet texture from the Backrooms video I made. This is a bit too small, so I'm gonna draw it back to -30, just to give it that effect, you know. And now look at that, we already have like a pretty decent scene, and we've got shading and we've got everything set up. Now you might have forgotten about the light that we added. Yeah, so we're gonna go back to render view, and you're gonna see now it's actually gonna be super nice. So I'm gonna click back on this area. I might buff this up again. Kind of stupid that I took it away the first time. Yeah, so now we have this, we have our light. You might want to re-angle it with the shading. Since it's the Backrooms, I might make mine a bit yellow. Make it a bit of a yellow color. That looks about right. And then we can add a camera. And like, you can stop here. This is as far as you need to go. This is already like a fully rendered piece with nice shading, but if you're like me and loves making life super tedious, you can go back into add by clicking Shift A. You can scroll down to, what was it, camera, because I'm stupid. Let's pull this camera out. I'm gonna go for like a side shot. So that this is gonna look quite nice. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm actually gonna go make this track too. So we're gonna go to this little ring here, and it's gonna be to add a constraint, and you're gonna go down and find the track to. Now the track to is pretty important, and make sure you selected the camera while you're doing so. The track axis, you always want to make sure that's set to -Z, or otherwise it will not be very nice. And you want to select let's select our cube for the track. So now it's going to track our cube, and we can give us this little demo here. Although I've made a fatal mistake, definitely don't do that. I'm stupid. You actually need to add an empty. So an empty kind of acts as a piece that's empty. You don't see it in the final render, but it always is there. And so you can't really see this, but if I like hide the cube, then you can see it. It's like a little angle. It's pretty cool. So I actually made a really fatal mistake there. Don't do what I did. When you click target, you want to scroll down until you find the empty that you made. I feel quite stupid for that. And now, like, it's pretty much set up. So you can move your camera to wherever, and it will literally always track the empty. So I might move my camera over here. I might actually make my little area a bit larger. And I'm gonna grab my camera and I'm gonna go down here. I have this minimized, but you can open this up again. And over here, I'm gonna go back to 0 frames, and I'm gonna have my mouse over the area. I'm gonna have my camera selected. I'm gonna click I. And I is gonna open up the keyframe menu. You wanna scroll down until you see location and rotation, because this is quite easy, and I hate all the others. So yeah, that's gonna make a little yellow dot or a white dot, but since you're selecting, it's a yellow dot. It's gonna make a little dot for you, and I'm gonna scroll to like 100, and I might even like shorten the frames to that 100. And I'm gonna go and move this over here, but this time I'm gonna make it like slightly lower, not that low. Whoops. Yeah, so now it's like that, you know, and that's going to be quite nice. And obviously I'm going to click I again, click location and rotation, and boom, that's it. Now you can see it's used automatic keyframing to make that look nice and fancy. You know what, I think I might move my camera over. Want to make this look a bit nicer. I want to give the camera something to look at. You know what I mean? There. There we go. Might make it a bit brighter. Let's do it like 300. I do want this to pick up most of the area, so I'm gonna do this a little bit. This is already looking really nice, and that's about it. You need to remember to go to the photo frame icon and change the file format from PNG to FMMPEG video, because it doesn't work right if you don't do it that way. It comes out with individual images. So you're gonna go over to the little render button. You're gonna click render animation. That's gonna bring you to this window. It might be minimized for you, but it's not for me. And you're literally just gonna sit and wait for that to render. So I'll see you when that's done. Now that our Blender render has finished, which is awesome, it's done, it's magnificent, you're gonna be like, yo, how do you see this? How do you see this finished render? So you can actually close that window again, and you know, I'm popping up with my OBS, but I'm gonna see my viewport, and I'm gonna open up files. And in my files, I have this saved, but you won't. So go to downloads, or sorry, this PC, and then go down to search the PC, and you're gonna want to search up TMP. Literally search up TMP, and it will come up with the file TMP. And that is where all of your finished files will go to. Since I already have this saved, I can just go here and show you the final recording.